Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to be laying out the pond for the big dig. Now we've been getting beautiful fall weather all week long, so it's been nice and dry, and I think it's going to be a perfect weekend to get the big machines here to dig the pond. What was that? We got a hawk in the tree. I see you, buddy. Yeah, I see you wagging your tail. I see you. You look a little young. You just gonna hang out up there? Right above my pretty ducks? I know, you see him, Maybell. Oh, he's flying. Oh, he's in the hemlock tree. Might be hunting another little bird. Yeah, you wanted more coverage. You've been spotted, huh? Yeah, wagging that tail again. Alright, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that hawk. The chickens are already running inside. Go ahead, girls, take cover. The ducks are all hiding already. They hang out in the shade all day anyway. Some of them. But we're gonna be out here working on the pond, so we should be good. Echo Pup, who are you barking at? I don't know, did it fly out of the tree? Might have hopped up. I lost sight. Oh, there it goes. Gone down to the creek. Echo, I hear you, bud. Is there a monster in the cornfield? Alright. Good boy. But anyway, today is Thursday and we are going to have the machines here tomorrow. I don't know exactly when they're going to come. They might come in the evening. But we're going to be planning on doing this pond dig in 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And of course, we already got started. All the work that we've done so far is with the case backhoe. But if we try and do the full pond dig with the backhoe, it's definitely going to take too long. We'd end up fighting the weather a lot more in that case. But I ended up making the call earlier this week because they said there's a little chance of rain on Friday, so I figured we'd be able to just scrape off any of the rain that falls Friday because it's not going to soak in. We have all the topsoil already off the dig area, so we shouldn't have too much of a mess if we do get a light shower. And looking at the forecast now, they dropped the amount of rain we were even supposed to get tomorrow, so we should be pretty good. Huh, pup, it's going to be a mess no matter what. And it sounds like the neighbor's cutting some wood. Sorry about that. But we've been using the backhoe to get everything ready here in the area, so whenever the big machines show up, we can go right to digging. And my dad actually finished up over here behind Goose Egg Island that we already created, if you want to see that video. And creating the island was actually one of the first steps, and we have a video on that because we're not going to be able to get the machines there once we start digging out around it. And my dad did strip the topsoil over here behind the pond where we're going to be digging out. We might have to go a little bit further over because we are going to have a steep incline coming down here to the water. It's not just going to be dug out as a big hole. We're actually going to have a nice incline down here in case any wildlife comes in. They have a nice easy egress to get out. Holy crap, buddy. What are you doing here? This ain't really your spot right now. You didn't reserve this for this time. Stay here, pup. I know, he walked right up on you, huh? Stay here, pup. It's a big old buck just walked right up on Echo. It's like crap. Echo, come here. Come on over, pup. You never know what's gonna pop out of that cornfield, buddy. Gotta be careful. Could have rammed you, pup. What? Oh, another one. Hey, bud, he made a left. There you go. Huh, pup, they're just crashing through the cornfield. Stay here, pup. What's going on, bud? They had to run across the road or something. Well, that makes my point exactly. We're definitely going to have some deer and other wildlife showing up here to the pond. And with the koi pond down at the house and the pond that we've had here so far, I haven't woken up to a deer that fell into the pond. So I really want to keep that streak going. Huh, pup, you on high alert. You don't know what's going to pop out now. You think those buck had any friends? Sounds like you're still moving through the cornfield. Keep an eye out, pup. And that also goes to show you, if you want wildlife around your place, put water in. Oh, another one. That was a bigger one. I know, pup. That one was big. I could only see the rack. I don't think I really got that on camera. If you build a pond, wildlife will come. Huh, pup? Sorry, I'm easily distracted by nature. And if you're also easily distracted by nature, check out my design line at whittacresdesigns.com on different merchandise. But we are going to get to laying out this pond here. As I was showing you, we do have the perimeter going around, and we are going to be raising up this area here. This is actually going to be a golf green where I have my flagpole. We're not going to make it a putting green or anything, but it is going to be a target area I can hit golf balls to, and I want to build it up to roughly the level of the island, so those two levels are pretty much similar. Echo Puppet, more coming out, bud. You tell him you got the pond reserved right now. All right, demping. So we pretty much already have the perimeter of the pond laid out just by stripping the topsoil back where we did. But today I want to come in with some spray paint. We're going to actually paint the lines where I want the different depths to be. Now, it may be hard to see on camera here, but the barn and the cornfield up there are the high side, and then everything just slopes down through my yard here to the other cornfield where Echo's barking. So for the pond, we're actually going to have an L-shaped dam. It's going to come all the way down here to the corner and then back up there to that corner. And I want to make it as low profile dam as I can. We're not trying to raise the water level up too much here, but since that upper end is kind of high, we want to raise it up a little bit just so we don't have that steep of a side over there. So kind of where we already dug out here to keep it nice and dry with the slope going down to this hole so I can pump the water out. This area here is going to be the dam. We're going to have it built up a little bit on this side, and then it's going to be sloping down into the water. And like I said, we're going to keep it pretty small. It's probably going to only be about 8 feet wide. And we might actually round off the corner here and make that a little bit thicker, but it's going to be about 8 feet wide on a slope. So I kind of want to get that line marked off there, and that's actually going to be the start of the first shelf that drops down. We're going to go down to 3 feet, and then another shelf down to 6 feet, and then we're going to go to our final depth, which is going to be right around 10 or 12 feet. Got more happening back there, pup. I know, now you can't trust the wind in the cornfield. But we're not going to be making a big bowl here for the pond. We're actually going to have some shelves here, and we're actually going to have a beach over there in that corner eventually. There's going to be some odds and ends that we're going to have to do after we do the main dig. And this weekend, we're not going to be trying to do any of the fancy odds and ends. Once the big machines arrive, we're just going to be trying to move as much dirt as possible. But whenever we dug that hole last year, we've been doing test holes here on the pond a lot, and we've actually been expanding that pond every year, trying to see how far we can go. But the duck pond over there has been our test hole. We've been doing test holes here for years. And whenever we finally expanded to that size of the duck pond, we ended up going 10 feet deep, and we still had nice heavy clay down there. And once that filled up with rainwater, we never actually had it go down very low. The lowest it's actually been is right now, because I've actually been pumping that water out. Since we're expecting some rain here Friday, it's actually only calling for 1/8 of an inch now. It actually came down from 1/3 of an inch. The forecast was calling for 1/2 inch of rain to fall tomorrow, so I wanted to pump the pond down a little bit, because once the pond overflows, it actually overflows into the hole we're trying to dig. So I pumped the duck pond down about 1 foot, so if we do get a heavy rain, it'll just fill the pond up again and it won't overflow. That's the plan, at least. And whatever rain we do get, I hope it will just go down this slope into this hole so we can pump it out and not have too much of a mess to dig in. Oh, and look at that hole. It collected so many leaves. So I'm going to get some spray paint cans out, and I'm going to start making lines on the different shelves that I want here in the pond. And once I can get help from my dad, we'll be able to use the transit and actually scope out water level. And using the transit, we'll be able to mark out all the different shelves with the depth that I want and make sure we don't dig too deep. Now, a couple things with this pond. It is not spring fed. It doesn't have any waterways flowing into it. That's actually just a solar pump running water out there. We also have a large cornfield below the pond, which gives us a good buffer for any other runoff getting to a natural waterway. And the overall size of the pond is going to be at most 1/4 acre and less than 15 feet deep. And everywhere we dig out here is all clay, so we really don't have to worry about bringing in a clay liner. We just have to worry about building the dam up. But without further ado, let's paint some lines. Come on. I gotta go let Maverick out. What are you doing here? You bird? Got a pheasant walking around, pup. Oh, you want the mice? All right, you do you. All right, we are back here on the homestead, and we're gonna take the drone up and see these lines I just painted. Pup, you ready? We're gonna try the new drone out. Let's see if it works. right, pup, you can relax. All the birds can come back down too. I put that noisy bird away. None of you like the drone, do ya? Now this drone works pretty good. It's a lot easier to set up and go than my dad's drone. So I was able to get it up in the air and fly it over the pond. So I'm hoping we got the video. Now from the air, you can really get an idea of how many shelves we're gonna have here on the pond. I tried to label each one. We have some at 3 feet and we have some at 6 feet. The main area of the pond, I think it's gonna average out about 8 feet deep, and that's where we're gonna have most of the pond. But around the back of the pond, we're gonna have a 6-foot area, and we're actually gonna have like a marshy area around 2 feet, nice and shallow. And the back of the pond will ramp right up into the grass, so it'd be easy entrance and exit for any of the wildlife coming in, and the ducks that we have here on the homestead. Around the island will be about 6 to 8 feet deep, but over in the larger open area, we're gonna try and go down to 10 to 12 feet deep. But I think you can get a good idea of how we're going to be shelving out this pond. Now we're going to have a large excavator here, and we're going to have a D3 dozer. And we also have the backhoe if I need it. But my brother is going to be running the excavator for the most part, and my dad's going to be in the dozer. Huh, pup, you trying to get a nap here? It's about time to let the birds out. I also want to work on the mushroom coop door today if I have time. But the first step here in the pond dig is actually going to be to dredge the original pond. We're going to try and get a lot of that muck out of here, and we're going to be putting it down on the lower side of the field. Once we dig down in that original pond area, the water level is going to drop a good bit. And while that's going on, we're also going to be digging the keyway trench here for the dam. Now for the keyway, we're going to be digging a trench about 2 feet wide and about 4 feet deep, all along the center of the dam going around the L. We're going to then pack that in with heavy clay and then start building up the dam from that point. So everything that we put in new is actually going to lock together. And digging that trench down into the soil actually helps keep the water pressure from pushing the dam right off of the virgin soil. So we're going to want to get that trench dug and get some clay packed into there so we can start building up the dam on the outside. And we're just going to be using the dozer to compact everything in. We're not going to be getting a sheep foot or a roller. It's not going to be a very large dam at all, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay. What are you doing, Pop? Looking for a mouse. All right. And we are going to try and keep the mess to a minimum around the pond, not to take too much grass off if we don't have to, because we want to try and keep this as green as possible going into the winter. But we are going to be moving a lot of dirt, so there's going to be a mess. But now I have a good idea of how I want the pond laid out. The next step is actually going to be to get the transit out so we can set water level here. And that'll give us how high we have to build the dam and then set every other level to that. And once we get water level on the transit, we'll be able to figure out where we have to set the dam height. And these numbers are going to be set to water level height, so we still have to figure out where that's going to be. And I think it's going to be about 1 foot to 18 inches below the island top, pretty much to where it was before we drained it down. So it's a little hard to tell on camera, but this lowest point will have to be built up about 4 feet. And where the dam ends here is going to be the sand beach. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of projects after we get the main dig done. We'll be using the backhoe to finish everything else off, but we need the big machines to get the main hole dug. But you can kind of see how the beach will come into the water here, and we'll have a 3-foot shelf and then a 6-foot shelf where the dam starts. We'll also have a 3-foot shelf there on the inside of the dam to help hold everything in place, and then the deeper water will come in. That 3-foot shelf will come all the way down the dam and continue up the other side of the dam. And then on this side, we're actually going to have a 6-foot shelf come down in front of this 3-foot shelf again. And my plan for this shelf is actually to put a bunch of stumps on here to make different structure for the fish. This is going to run all the way down to where we're going to have the overflow pipe come in. And the overflow pipe is going to go right about where this hose is cutting across. And that's going to be right at the back of the vegetable garden fence. Now the dam is going to continue all the way almost to the golf green, and right before it hits the golf green, that's going to actually be an emergency spillway area. Everything's going to run straight down to the same spot where the overflow pipe is going to be. So we have to figure out where we want to have water level before we can finish off that area. But in front of that, we're going to have a 4-foot shelf going over here to the ramp to go to the spillway. And then inside that's going to be an 8-foot channel between the island. There's actually going to be an 8-foot shelf that goes all the way in the middle here. And then we're going to have the deep end on the right and a deep end on the left. And then a channel going right through the middle. And I think the fish are going to love all the different shelves and edges in here and the structure we're going to be putting in later. And they might even start using some of the channels that I make in between. But we're going to have an 8-foot channel going in between the golf green here and the island. It'll be a little shallower next to the island because we got to keep that built up. And then over here I tried to represent with the orange line where that's going to be built up to land level, and then we're going to have a slope down to where water level is going to be. And it's going to drop into about a 6-foot channel here coming around the back side of the island. But I do want a trench actually dug right in the middle here a little bit deeper. And then on the back side, we're going to transfer from 6 feet to a nice 2-foot section, kind of a large rectangular 2-foot section we're going to have some plants in, and then it's going to start sloping gradually out to the grass. Pop. And in the meantime, we're also going to be building up a new goat mountain over here. And I'll get into that more whenever we're doing it. But wrapping around the backside here, we're actually going to keep this roadway here going across the top. We've been building that up and that's going to stay, but it's going to drop into the water level here, like I said, about 6 feet deep in this area. And then it's going to drop into about 8 feet deep again here. And I think this area is going to mainly be about 8 feet deep. We have to dig this down a good bit. It's only about 2 to 3 feet deep right now. You can see that I drained the water down. We actually separated the water from the island again. So we'll probably get this down to about 8 feet deep and then put a deep hole right around here. And then in front of the island, it's already about 10 feet deep. So we're going to keep that deep going across to where we have that 8-foot channel. I'm sure it's pretty confusing to try and see all this on camera and understand what I'm trying to go for, but it's definitely helping me to walk through it. And I'm not the only one walking through here. We definitely have some deer hoof prints. We have some tracks going through here from the deer. Lots of bird tracks too. But over here I kind of want to build this shelf going across the center of the pond, so it's not just a deep empty wasteland. I want to put a little bit of structure here. So this area over here between the shelves is all going to be about 10 to 12 feet deep. And we're going to keep a channel going over here because that's going to also be 10 feet deep over here. But I want to keep this shelf going through the middle just to add a little bit of structure, about 8 feet. And that shelf not only gives fish a place to hide, but it also gives fish like a bass a place to hunt. And like I said, with the stumps on this side, we are going to be putting a lot of structure in this pond to help keep the bait fish population up too. So I want to make the pond bigger for the ducks and the geese, but I also want to make it big enough and clean enough that we can have a healthy fish population too. Huh, Pep? You looking for more nature? Whenever I got home, I actually saw something else in the front yard. We had a pheasant walk through. Now that was a male pheasant in the front yard with all the colors, but I think this morning I actually saw a female pheasant fly behind the barn. I think the PA Game Commission actually releases them every year for hunters. Huh, Pep, so sometimes we get to see them come through. But I'm feeling good about getting the pond laid out here. Tomorrow, whenever I can get help from my dad, we'll get the transit out and actually set water level. And then the machines are gonna get here and we can start digging. Sedgwig. Stay close, girl. The wind actually blew her door shut last night and she went somewhere. I think she went into the hemlock tree, but I had a spotlight out and I went all over here trying to find her last night. I was worried all night. I couldn't find her anywhere. And then I looked out the window early this morning and I saw her walking across the bottom of the hemlock tree. So she's a survivor. She made it through. Huh, Pup? I see you. But that's going to be all for this one. I'm going to go let the birds out. If you want to keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres and see the duck pond expansion get done, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Good boy. Hey, Mumbles. Bring them out, girl. Come on, ladies.